All right, so I love all things magic, black authors, and black fantasy. So here's the start of my new series on books that feature magic with black characters and how those magical systems are used. So first up, of course, my most recent favorite book, Legendborn series. Now, the Legendborn series uses the myth of the story of King Arthur and the Round Table as the basis for its magical system and plot. The leading group in this, the Order or the Order of the Round Table, has their own system in place and rules on how magic can and should be used. Now we know in the series that Merlin and Arthur devised a spell that would tie the knights, along with Merlin and Arthur, to their future bloodlines in order to defeat any darkness that should come back, because they feared that the world would fall into chaos if the table were to fall. So they crafted the spell of eternity. Now, like I said, these spirits are bound to their bloodline and future heirs, and it's not that the knights themselves live forever, but the heir or the scion at the moment would basically become possessed or inhabited by the spirit of whichever knight that was in their bloodline. Now, while the bloodline is quote unquote possessed by the former knights, you have the Merlins who are able to use magic. Now, the Merlins use magic in order to defend the order, and you have the mage guards and the king's mages, and those are the two different types of Merlins that exist within the Legendborn universe. Now, the King's Mage is the top Merlin, the most powerful one, and is there to protect the scion of Arthur. So we could almost think of him, I don't know if it's explicitly stated or not, if it's the spirit of Merlin himself, but considered basically somewhat similar to that. Now, the Mage Guard are the elite force of Merlins. Think of them kind of like the Black Ops military unit type of Merlins around. They consist of 24 of the strongest Merlins around and basically protect against the Shadowborns that exist within the world. So now that I kind of got the order out of the way, let's talk about the kind of magic they use. Their magic is called ether. Now, the laws of ether state that it cannot be created or destroyed, only infused in the body and manipulated as such. And it's important to note that this can only be placed into an object and manipulated temporarily. Now, rule number 2 states that the dead have the most access to the use of ether, with supernatural creatures being second on that list. The living have to borrow, bargain, and sometimes steal to get the use of ether, which is an underlying part of the plot as to how the ether is used by the Knight's Table, or by the Order, excuse me. Now, Mage Flame is ether in its solid state, and Legendborn, who are the highest ranking members in the order, either scions or squires, cannot wield ether in its Mage Flame state. But awakened scions and Merlins can wield ether in any state. We know that there are 3 types of magic used in this series: ether, which is used by the Order; spirit; and root, which is practiced by the black characters in the story. And that's going to be our next video.